What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Swift video. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to deep link from your app to another app, as well as present an upsell to download another one of your apps right within your app. So showing the App Store in your app. So we're going to go ahead and open up what we're going to be building. So here you see that we've got these three icons for Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. And let's say I tap on PowerPoint. You see that we switch directly to PowerPoint. If we go back and let's say I tap on Word, and we don't have Word installed, but we see that the App Store pops up right here. So we have an opportunity to install it right within our app. No need to leave it, so on and so forth. So this is a great way to upsell your other apps if you have one popular app and want to get some downloads for some other ones that you have. So that said, something to call out before we get started. You can see that this is a screen share of my actual device. For this video, we're going to be building to device since this stuff is not supported on simulator. That said, make sure you destroy the like button, hit subscribe while you're down there in that button section. Get Xcode ready, get excited, let me stop blabbering, and let's jump right in. Quick pause before we get into the video. If you haven't seen it already, I am hard at work putting together iOSacademy.io, a community where all of us iOS engineers can come together, learn how to build some of the top apps like Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, in addition to interview prep to land some of these iOS roles at top tech companies. So if you're interested in the free and premium content to come, head on over to iOSacademy.io and enter your email address in the waitlist form, and you will be notified as content becomes available. That said, let's get into the video. All right, so we're going to begin by opening up Xcode and creating a new project. We'll stick with a single view application, and I'm going to go ahead and call this deep linking and upsell app. Go ahead and make sure your language is Swift and we're not on Swift UI. We're going to use a storyboard, save the project, and let's get into it. So like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I've got my device hooked up here and I'm sharing its screen. And we want to deploy this video's project to a device because some of the stuff doesn't work on a simulator. So come up here where you would traditionally select a simulator and make sure you've got a real device plugged in and selected. Hit that run button to compile and get it deployed to device. Let me also expand Xcode here. So compiling to device is a little slower, so get that started in the beginning. So what we are going to do is we're going to take these three app icons that I grabbed from Google Images for Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. And we are going to create a screen where the user can tap on these app icons and either be shown an upsell to download it if they don't have it already, or we're going to open these apps with a deep link if they are installed. So that whole spiel said, we want to first bring in the app icons. So this just installed, there's our app. It'll launch up in a second and be an empty app. So let's bring in these app icons by creating three image sets. So we're going to say app 1, app 2, app 3, and let's simply drag these in one by one. So that's app 1. The next one is PowerPoint, so app 2. And lastly, app 3. So now that we have all of our images in, we can expand our Xcode window to give ourselves a little more room and jump into our view controller. So I am going to create a table view in here. So traditionally in most apps, people have a screen where there's terms of service, privacy policy, some contact info. And at the bottom of the table view is where I like to do app upsells. So we're going to set up a view controller with a table view real fast to do that. So we're simply going to create a UI table view. So I'm going to go through the table view fairly quickly since this video doesn't really focus on it too much. So we're simply going to create a table view, assign its data source. We're going to conform to the data source. We're going to have an array up here of data, which will be something like terms, privacy, contacts, and we're not going to actually be implementing our actions tapping on this table view cells. We just want to show it for the purposes of doing a basic UI. So that's going to be data.count. Cell for row is going to be, nope, that's not what we want. Cell for row at index path. We are going to dequeue a cell via our table view. Cell ID will be cell, index path will be index path. We can come down here and return a cell. And we can say the cell's text label.text is going to be the nth element in our data collection. We need to remember to register a cell to said table view with the identifier we used down below. And that is cell, all lowercase. And we should also give this guy a frame. And we're going to do that in view.layout subviews. We're going to say table.frame is view.bounds, which is the entirety of the screen. And if I'm not mistaken, that should give us a table view. So go ahead and hit Command R, and we should see our table popping up now. Bear with it. Like I said, it's a little slower on device, so you got to be a little more patient, but there we go. There's our table. So now we want to add these app icons as a table footer. So the way I like to do it is as follows. Of course, you're welcome to do it however you'd like with your UI, whatever fits your design. This is just what I like to do. So I'm going to create a function called createFooter. And this function will return a UI view, which serves as the footer view. And we're going to give this guy a frame, which is going to be a CG rect with an XY width and height, 0, 0, the entire width of the screen. Let's say 100 for the height. Now, additionally, we are going to say footer.background color is going to be secondary system background. So it's a little bit lighter. And now we want to add the app icons, but we want to remember that they need to be tappable. So we're going to use buttons. And we can do that in a for loop, actually. So the first thing we want to do is get the size that we want to create each icon. Now, every icon is a square, so the width and height will be the same value. And we're simply going to say that is the width of the screen, subtracting 40 for a 10-point buffer on the leading and trailing edge and between every icon over the number of icons. And now we can say for x in 0 up to 3, we're going to create that for loop, and we're going to create a button in it each time. And the button's going to have a frame. The y will just keep 0 for now, and we can adjust this in a moment. Width and height will be size, and this is the one that we want to actually implement so the icon doesn't overlap. So it's going to be CG float of x multiplied by size plus CG float of x plus 1 multiplied by 10, which is our buffer. And we want to make sure we add this as a subview. We're going to set button.tag, and tag is simply a value that we can use to discern what button was tapped when we tap on the button. Of course, as we tap on different app icons, we want different deep links and upsells. And let's see, what else do we want? We want to, of course, set the image. So we're going to say set background image. It's going to be UI image named app. And we're going to append in the number. So it's going to be x plus 1 because x starts at 0. This is going to be for normal. And I believe that's it. Let's also quickly create the function that gets called when the button was tapped. So we're going to say did tap button. And in here, sender is going to be UI button. And then here we can say button, add target, self, selector, did tap button. And the event for which the tap will be recognized is touch up inside, which is a standard tap. And now that we have assigned x here, or tag here to be x, in here we can now get that tag by saying tag is sender.tag. And we can say if tag equals 1, do something. If it's 2, do something else. 3, do something else. So before we go any further, let's hit Command R and let's make sure we're seeing that footer. So it's building, it's running, there it goes, awesome. So we now see our 3 app icons. They're a little large, that's okay for now. They're also not fully centered, it appears. Anyways, we'll deal with that later. Right now, tapping on them, nothing is gonna happen. The important thing we'll note is the order of them left to right with the tags is going to be Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. So let me add comments in here so we know which apps we have in which if block. And like I mentioned in the beginning, of course, you should use your own apps. Be careful about trademarks with app icons. I'm using these icons as just an educational demo. So of course, that's something you should change in your apps. So now that we have the buttons set up, the first thing we want to do in each of these taps is check if that if that app is installed. And we do that by checking if we can open that app's deep link. So let me show you guys what that looks like before talking about how to find a deep link. So we're going to say UI application shared can open URL, and this is going to be a URL object. And we're going to create that right above here. We're going to say guardlet URL is URL with a string, and I believe Microsoft Word is MS Word : / and we do guardlet because creating a URL returns optional. And we're going to say if this URL can be opened, deep link, otherwise upsell. So where did I get this MS-Word? Well, every single app on the App Store is capable of supporting a deep link query string. And most apps, especially the larger ones, have this, and they can simply add it to their info plist, and other apps can invoke those apps. So I'm sure you've seen Facebook use this when you use login with Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, or majority of apps have this format, and it's very, very easy to set up. And I'll probably do a separate video of how to set it up, but you can simply go to Google and just search up deep links or popular apps. So that's where I got that from. So what we have going on down here is we're checking on UI application, its shared instance, if we can open this deep link. If we can, we simply want to open it. So we're going to say UI application shared open that URL, and options, we're going to be lazy and not provide anything. And we're also going to be lazy and not provide a completion. And that'll open that. And here we can show an upsell of the App Store. We can basically present that app in the App Store to be downloaded if that app is not available. So how do we go about actually opening it? So we need to do one more thing for the deep link to get it working. And we'll do that right now, actually. What we want to do is go to our info plist, and we want to add a new key in here called ls application queries scheme. And this should be an array. And we're going to add one value to this. Whoops, we want to add one sub value to this array. And I can't remember if this is plural or not, but we'll find out in a quick second. But basically, we want to add a value to this array. So hit that plus, and we should add one down here. And basically, we want to add all of the deep links we want to be able to open. And the one we want is MS Word that we just added. Hit Command R, and let's see if we can deep link. So I have Word installed right there. So we should be able to open it. If we're not, we'll see an error in the console. So hit Word right there. Looks like we can't open it. If we look at our console, it says deep linking MS Word : / error. This app isn't allowed to query it. So bear with me. ls application queries schemes, and I might need the : / here. I don't think we do. Let's see, memory serves. Let's try that with the plural. Let's hit that one more time. All right, there we go. So now that we hit it, no error, and it says deep linking and upselling app, which is our app's name, wants to open Word. We're going to tap on Word, and you can see that it opened up Microsoft Word directly. And it actually brought us to the new document screen by default, which is what their app opens up to. Let's go back here. And now that we're actually in here, let's just add the other apps. So we want one for PowerPoint and one for Excel. And let's go ahead and add that in our view controller as well. And then we'll talk about actually upselling it if the app is not installed. I currently have all the apps installed, so I'll go ahead and delete one so we can take a look at that example. So let's copy and paste and be lazy. One more time. And all we need to change here is actually Excel and up here PowerPoint. So you can quickly see that a lot of this code is redundant. So a good idea is probably to create a model where you can pass all this stuff in and one function to handle it so we don't duplicate our code. So now if we hit Command R, let's make sure Excel and PowerPoint are working. And while it's doing that, go ahead and import StoreKit at the top of your class. And StoreKit is going to be the framework we're going to use to present the product download for an app if it's not installed. So let me hit PowerPoint. You get the pop-up. We can open it on up. Let's try that for Excel. Same deal, looking good. So cool, let's talk about upselling now. So to upsell is pretty easy. So now that we imported StoreKit, there is a controller that is available in it. And let's see if I recall what it's called. So we're going to say let VC is SK store product view controller. So we're simply going to call this, we're going to say VC, and we want to load a product with parameters. The parameter is going to be SK product parameter. Let's see. SK store product parameter, and it should be something like iTunes identifier. Let's see, this one right here, iTunes item identifier. And the value you need to give this is a NS number. And NS number with the value, just throw a 1 in there for now. We'll talk about that in a quick second. And let's see, what is this next parameter? The next parameter is a completion block. We can pass in nil. And finally, we can say present VC animated true. So that is how you show an App Store upsell in your app. So what is this value business over here? Basically, you need to tell the controller which product, which app to show in the App Store controller. And this number is supposed to be the item ID for that app. So where do you find this? Where you find it is Safari. So go ahead and open up a browser, and we are going to search for iTunes Microsoft Word. So go ahead and find that Apple Apps website, select it, and in the search bar up here, what you want to go ahead and do is, once Safari decides to not be slow, select it, and at the very end here, you'll see ID followed by a string of numbers. So you want to take that and paste it on in here. Make sure you drop that ID, hit Command R to build and run. And I'm going to go ahead and delete Word from my device. So let's do that. Select Word, and let me go ahead and delete it. So we're going to hit delete, and I apologize for my mic. I'm leading to use my phone, so I don't know if you guys can hear me all too well. But now if we hit Word, we get this other screen that pops up, and now it actually shows us the App Store page for it. And it already shows with this arrow down icon that we've already downloaded it, and we can download it again. And this is basically the entire App Store product page. So you've got your screenshots here, you've got your ratings, your description, all that good stuff. And the cool thing about this approach is you never have to have your user leave the app. So an older approach used to be you can do a UI application open where you would basically switch your user to the App Store, which is certainly one way to do it. But if I don't say so myself, this is much cleaner because you remain in the app. And of course, all of this works with dark mode as well. So if we switch to dark mode here, one thing you'll notice off the bat is these images don't have transparent backgrounds, so they look slightly ugly. But that aside, if we tap on, let's say, Word, you see that the entire App Store now shows up in dark mode. And that basically does it. I'm gonna be adding Excel and PowerPoint here before pushing this code up for those of you that are a part of the GitHub and support the coder level here on YouTube. And yeah, I don't wanna make you guys sit here and watch me copy and paste from Safari. That said, if you haven't destroyed that like button already, make sure to do so for the YouTube algorithm. This is a really great way to upsell your other apps. If you have one app that's popular, definitely take advantage of it. Definitely figure out what works best for you. If you haven't subscribed already, do that as well while you're at it if you enjoy the content. Comment down below if you've got suggestions, issues, errors, just want to say hi. I love hearing from you all. I try to reply fairly quickly. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.